Imagine you're standing in line for coffee. Your phone vibrates in your pocket, a notification from your bank. You open it, hoping for a miracle, but see the same stubborn number, $1,247. This balance has been haunting you for a year. Sometimes it balloons to a couple of thousand after a successful freelance gig or a bonus. But then, bam, your car breaks down, your teeth need repair, or you just snap out of it because you're tired of denying yourself everything. And here you are again, at the starting line. It's financial purgatory, a place where you run on the savings treadmill. You sweat, you burn out, you skimp on the little things, but the scenery around you doesn't change. You're still in the same room with the same feeling of unease in your stomach. Meanwhile, your friend, who makes as much as you, casually says, "Finally made my first $100,000. At that moment, something inside you breaks. It's not just envy, it's existential dread. You ask yourself, what am I doing wrong? We're in the same boat. Why can he already see the shore while I'm going under? The brutal truth is, you're not saving slowly. You're not saving at all. You're engaging in financial self-deception. You're building a sandcastle at high tide. Today, I'm here to rip that Band-Aid off and show you the mechanics of the trap you're stuck in, because there's one magical point after which the rules of gravity for your money change forever. And that point is your first $100,000. Charlie Munger, Warren Buffett's legendary partner, wasn't kidding when he said, "I don't care what you do. Ride your bike, eat coupons, but get that first 100 grand. He understood what 90% of people don't. Before that point, your money is just paper, a trade-in for survival. After that, it's a biological species that begins to reproduce without your input. Let's do some cold, hard math. Imagine your first $100,000 invested at 8% per annum. That's $8,000 a year, $667 a month, just for existing. To get that $667 out of your salary net, you need to earn almost an extra $1,000 gross. Your first $100,000 is an employee who works for you 24/7, never asks for vacation, and never whines. That's your first victory over the system. But why is this path so painful? The problem is the 0-point psychology. When you have only $5,000 in your account, that same 8% growth earns you $400 over the course of a year. That's less than the cost of a new phone. Your brain looks at that money and whispers, "Listen, this isn't changing our lives. Why suffer? Let's go on vacation instead." Those $400 won't make a difference anyway. And so you give in. You're killing your capital in the cradle because it's too small for you to respect it. But when that same 8% growth drops by $100,000, that's $8,000. That's a big deal. It changes the way you wake up in the morning. You're fighting an invisible enemy, lifestyle inflation. As soon as your income rises, your brain immediately updates your needs. You need more expensive coffee, a bigger apartment, clothes that match your status. It's Parkinson's law. Expenses always rise to match your income. You're just a transmission link. Money comes from your employer and immediately flies off to corporations. You don't work for yourself. You work for Amazon, Netflix, and your landlord. To break free, you must stop being a conduit and become a reservoir. The statistics are merciless. The average city dweller spends about $1,500 a month on noise. Subscriptions, deliveries, impulse purchases, status-driven items. Over a year, that's $18,000. Over 5 years, it's almost that same $100,000. You literally hold your freedom in your hands every 5 years, but you're just handing it away. You're trading your future for the short-lived dopamine rush of unpacking another box. The only solution is aggressive time compression. If you save comfortably, it will take 15 years. By then, inflation will have eaten up half of it, and you'll be too old to take advantage of it. Our goal is 4 to 5 years, and that will require financial surgery. Rule number 1, me first. This isn't selfishness, it's survival. The second your paycheck hits your account, your 30% automatically goes into your investment account before you pay your internet bill. Before you buy food, you have to learn to live on what's left. It will hurt. Friends will invite you to bars. Social media will shove other people's success in your face. You'll feel FOMO. But remember, while they're performing wealth as debt, you're accumulating real power. Then comes the rigorous audit. Your rent and your car loan aren't sacred cows. They're variables. Can you find a roommate and save $500 a month? Can you sell the car that's draining your insurance and gas bills? One big cut like that replaces 1,000 small ones. You gain leeway. But savings have a limit. while income doesn't. Most people sit around waiting for their boss to notice. That's financial suicide. Those who actively negotiate earn 15% more. That's an extra $500 to $700 a month to build your foundation. But even that's not enough for a quantum leap. You need a side income, not a second job as a courier, but monetizing your unique skills. If you can generate an extra $800 a month and direct it exclusively toward your goal, you'll shave years off your career. This money isn't for your daily needs. It buys you independence. The most dangerous time will be when you see $40,000 in your account. You'll start to feel rich. Your brain will say, look, we already have a ton of money. Let's relax. At this point, 90% of people drop out. They convert capital back into consumption. You must become a financial ghost, a person whose real wealth is many times greater than what others see. This is the highest form of power, possessing a resource no one else knows about. The market will test you. Your $50,000 can turn into $40,000 in a single week of crisis. Your instinct will scream, run, save what's left. This is where most people lose. But you have to smile. When the market falls, your dollars buy more of the future at a discount. A crisis is not a threat, it's an accelerator for those who understand the rules. When you finally cross that line, when $100,000 lights up on the screen, you won't feel wild joy, but a deep, physical calm. This is the moment when you truly exhale for the first time. You no longer fear the future. You are gain negotiating power. You can negotiate with life on your own terms. Your money now works as hard as you once worked for it. You're no longer running on a treadmill. You're flying. You've overcome environmental resistance. You've built a foundation upon which you can now build anything. You've become an owner, not just a consumer. Your first 100,000 has changed your DNA. And the best part? The next 100,000 will come to you 3 times faster. Because now, not only are you working for money, but money is working for you. Welcome to the game where you finally know the rules. We've reached the most important question. Where exactly is this money going? Because if you're simply stashing it in a virtual pile under your bank account, you're still losing. With inflation at 4 to 5%, your savings are like a melting block of ice. You work for them 40 hours a week, and they lose their value while you sleep. If your money doesn't grow faster than real estate and food prices, you're simply slowly getting poorer in real terms. Your first strategy is a high-yield savings account, HYSA. This is the foundation. This is your emergency bag. Your first $5,000 to $10,000 should sit there. In 2026, you can find accounts that pay 4 to 5% per annum. This won't make you rich, but it will protect your back. This is money that's available to you at any moment if the world around you starts to crumble. But once this foundation is laid, everything else should go into the growth machine. Your primary tool on your way to the top 100 is a brokerage account and index funds. Forget trying to guess which stock will hit tomorrow. Leave that to the gamblers, who usually lose everything. Your goal is to own the entire global economy through funds like VTI or VOO. Why? Because they're diversified, have minimal fees, and historically deliver those 8 to 10% annual returns we talked about. You're not betting on one horse. You're owning the entire racetrack. Use dollar cost averaging. Don't wait for the perfect moment to enter. There is none. The market will always seem either too expensive or too scary. Your autopay should be triggered on the same day every month. If the market peaks, you buy shares. If the market crashes, you celebrate and buy even more shares at a low price. This turns volatility from your enemy into your ally. You simply methodically accumulate assets while others try to outsmart the system. Don't forget about tax havens. If your employer offers a 401k with a match, it's literally free money you're obligated to take. It's 100% instant. If you don't, you're just throwing wads of cash in the trash. Use a Roth IRA if your income allows it. The ability to let your money grow and be withdrawn tax-free in the future is a legal cheat code that cuts years off your path to freedom. But let's be honest, the numbers on the screen are only part of the equation. The biggest transformation happens in your head. You begin to notice the stupidity tax everyone around you pays. You see people buying things on installment plans at exorbitant interest rates. You see those living paycheck to paycheck with an income 5 times higher than yours. You begin to understand that wealth is what's out of sight. It's those cars that weren't bought. It's those watches that remained on display. It's those dinners you cooked at home. Every time you resist an impulse purchase, You're not depriving yourself of joy, you're buying yourself time. You're buying yourself the right to wake up at 40 and decide you don't want to work today because your capital has already earned you enough for that day. This is the highest form of hedonism, owning your life entirely, not just owning a bunch of expensive things that own you. When you reach 70 to 80,000, you'll feel a strange tension. The goal will become so close that you'll want to accelerate at any cost. It's time for the final push. Review your expenses again. Sell everything you don't need at a garage sale. Take on a side project. Take this final step with maximum intensity. Because once you cross 100,000, everything will change. Your capital will reach critical mass. Now, a 10% increase is already $10,000. This is a sum that many people can't accumulate in a lifetime, but for you, it's simply floated by the market. From this moment on, you're no longer rowing against the tide. You've set sail, and the winds of capitalism are at your back. You've navigated the valley of death, where most give up. You've proven to yourself that you're stronger than your momentary desires. You're the architect of your freedom, and your first 100,000 is the ground floor of your skyscraper. Construction continues, but now you have the blueprints, the tools, and most importantly, the unwavering belief that you can reach the very top. The second the number on your screen crosses 100,000, an invisible but fundamental rift occurs in your reality. It's not just a moment when you can afford more things. It's the moment when you truly exhale for the first time in your life. You feel the heavy concrete slab of financial anxiety that has been weighing on your shoulders since the day you received your first paycheck suddenly lift. According to research by the American Psychological Association, money is the #1 source of chronic stress for 70% of adults. But for you, this stress is no longer background noise. You no longer dread a call from the bank, a sudden air conditioner breakdown, or the fact that your boss woke up on the wrong side of the bed. You now have freedom money. This gives you not only security, but also incredible bargaining power. You now negotiate with life from a position of strength. You can say no to a toxic project. You can refuse to work overtime. You can quit a soul-sucking job because you're no longer tied to the next paycheck. Your confidence is now backed by a solid gold reserve, and the world around you begins to feel it. People smell freedom, and they begin to treat you differently. But the greatest magic happens not in your head, but inside your investment portfolio. Remember those agonizing early years. Remember how you literally clawed every dollar out of your lifestyle. How you ditched steaks for rice. How you passed by display cases selling new sneakers. How you worked on weekends when everyone else was off. In those days, your savings grew solely on the strength of your calluses. But now, everything is changing. The flywheel effect is in full devastating force. Your $100,000 invested in the global economy is now an employee in itself, earning more than many people earn in a full-time job. With an average market growth rate of 8 to 10%, your money is earning you around $8,000 to $10,000 per year. This is no longer the measly pittance you earned with your first 1,000. It's an amount comparable to a year's salary in some regions. Do you understand what has happened? Your capital has started doing the work for you that used to take you months. Doubling your fortune from 0 to 100,000 took years of discipline and strict restrictions. But turning 100,000 into 200,000 will require significantly less effort. You no longer need to run so fast. Now the very inertia of your wealth propels you forward. This is the moment when you understand why the rich get richer almost automatically. It's not an elite conspiracy. It's simply the pure mathematics of exponential growth, which has finally recognized you as one of its own. But it's here, at the top of the first mountain, that the most insidious trap in financial history awaits you: the false finish trap. When you have that much money in your account, your brain, starved for dopamine from years of saving, starts screaming, "We won! We're rich! It's time to finally live for myself." You start looking at new cars, you start shopping for a bigger apartment, you think you can finally fly business class. This is the moment when 90% of people commit financial suicide. They decide it's time to enjoy the fruits of their labor and start eating away at their principal, or worse, increase their fixed expenses so much that their $100,000 turns to dust again within a couple of years. You mustn't make this mistake. Your invisible millionaire strategy must become even more radical. You must learn to ignore this new level of comfort. Your lifestyle should remain the same until your assets become so vast that a small portion of them can cover your every whim without any damage to your foundation. True freedom isn't buying a Porsche with your salary. True freedom is buying one with your quarterly dividends, while your capital continues to grow. You've moved from being a consumer to an owner. You now own shares in the world's largest corporations. You own your time, and most importantly, you own your future. Look back at the version of yourself who years ago looked longingly at a measly $1,247 and felt hopeless. Do you now understand that the difference between that person and you today wasn't luck, an inheritance, or special connections? It was a series of daily, boring, often painful but consistent decisions. It was the victory of your prefrontal cortex over the animal instinct for immediate consumption. You proved that you can outsmart a system designed to leave you penniless. Your path to $1 million now doesn't seem like a rosy dream from a book. It seems like the logical, mathematically inevitable conclusion of a process you set in motion the day you decided to stop feeding other people's empires and start building your own. You've crossed the valley of death, where everyone else gives up. You've overcome the resistance of an environment that wanted you to be like everyone else, deaded, stressed, and in a perpetual race for things. Now your life is not a struggle for survival, but strategic planning. You begin to see the world through the prism of assets. You no longer buy things, you buy time. You no longer look for a job, you look for opportunities to invest your capital. Your first 100,000 changed your DNA. You have become a financial predator who knows how to wait, knows how to hit the mark, and knows the value of every move. And the best thing about this is that this skill will stay with you forever. Even if the apocalypse happens tomorrow and you lose everything, you will regain your fortune 10 times faster because you now know the path. You know how the flywheel works. You know how to compress time. There are still many challenges ahead. The market will fall, governments will change, inflation will try to take a piece of your pie, but you now have armor. You have a system, and you have the most powerful weapon in the world, the understanding that wealth is not an event, but a habit. Your first 100,000 is just the first floor of your skyscraper. Build on. Don't rest on your laurels, but don't forget the taste of victory you're feeling right now. You've done what most people never have the courage to do. You've broken free. You're free. Now go out and use this freedom in such a way that your future self in 20 years will thank you for not giving up on that day with just $1,000 in your account. This is your world, your rules, your capital, and this is just the beginning.